This is the Artisan Key-83, Artisan's most expensive pad in their lineup by a good margin compared to their most popular pad. You can see here that for a XXL Artisan Zero, their most popular mousepad, the price is 6,400 yen or roughly $43. Then, transitioning to the Key-83, it sits at 9,200 yen or $62. Is it really possible that this mousepad is so good that it's worth 40% more? Well, that depends what you're looking for in a mousepad, and I hope I can help you answer that question in this video, especially if you're looking to buy an Artisan mousepad, whether it's your first or fifth time. For starters, this mousepad has a unique feature that most cloth mousepads do not have. It has a hexagonal weaving in the stitching, which makes the pad have a more consistent glide across the X and Y axis, similar to glass pads. Due to this, I've seen some creators like Pingu call this the most glass-like cloth pad that they've used. Now, I haven't personally used a glass pad, so I can't agree or disagree with this statement, but I can say that I 100% notice a difference in the vertical movement compared to other pads I've used. After using this, vertical movements on my Artisan Zero felt noticeably harder to do because of the resistance that I can feel. Now, that doesn't personally make a difference so big I never want to use my Zero again or anything that extreme, but it does make enough to where I have certain use cases for both of these pads now. For example, a game like the Finals, Apex Legends, or even vertical tracking scenarios and aim training where there is a lot more possibility of vertical movement, I would find it much easier to use the Key-83 due to how much less resistance the Y-axis gives. Also, from what I've gathered, people say that the Y-axis does feel a bit faster than the X, which honestly I can agree with, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. It's typically harder for us to move our mice vertically compared to horizontally, so I feel like the slightly faster speed on the Y-axis works to our advantage in that regard, or at least in my experience and opinion. Personally, when I bought this pad, I decided to go with the least amount of friction possible, so I got the mid variant, compared to my soft variant of the Zero that I own. Due to this, I unfortunately don't have a full one-to-one comparison of each pad in the same hardness, so this section should be taken with a grain of salt in my comparisons. From what I've noticed, there is a few main things this pad offers compared to the Zero Soft. For starters, the main takeaway of the pad, even listed by Artisan, is that it offers a smoother glide in all directions, which I've already went over. The next part is the texture. Now, this part could be due to the mid-hardness compared to my Zero Soft texture, but this pad feels noticeably rougher. Now, this isn't something that should be a problem for anyone even with sensitive skin or anything, because both pads are only slightly textured, but I thought I should mention it. If I had to give a number ranking, I would say the Zero's texture roughness is like a 1 out of 10, and the Key-83 mid specifically, I can't speak for the soft of course, is maybe a 2 or 3 out of 10. So again, not super rough or anything, but I thought that I should mention it. The next big difference I noticed compared to the Zero was the speed. Again, I don't have a large number of mousepads to just test everything possible in terms of speed compared to different mousepads, but compared to my Zero Soft, it is noticeably quicker. For games like Apex or the Finals again, this of course would work in your favor as there's more tracking, and in games in Valorant and CS, I originally had my doubts for this pad, but I can definitely say I don't think this is a bad option for those games either. For my aiming style at least, I find the extra speed and balance of this pad very helpful for all movements from flicks to micro adjustments. However, I will say, not only in games like Val or CS, but in aim trainers or even Battlefield 2042, which I've been playing a good amount recently, I do tend to overflick a bit in a lot of situations. Now, of course, this does sound like a bad thing, but I can say fairly confidently I think it is an issue on my own end compared to the pad. I'm noticeably better in my eyes now with the pad than when I was when I first got it. Part of that I do think is getting used to the pad as a whole, but I think a bigger part of that has been my progress in aim trainers. As I develop better mouse technique and control, this pad shines more and more and feels better the better that I've been getting. Now that might be a bit off-putting for some people, but I do think that if you want something that's a tiny bit slower and more controllable, this pad would be just as great in soft or even X-soft, whatever your preference is. Anyway, back to the speed of the pad. As you can see here with some spin tests, the mice glide very well on the pad, and I get a few good spins on them. I should also mention that this test is not done with any of the top-of-the-line ultra low-weight mice. Both of these mice have Tiger Ice skates on them, either dot or full size respectively, but these mice are on the heavier side, both weighing around 80 grams. So if you had an even lighter mouse and or faster skates, it would change the experience even more drastically compared to slower pads like my Zero. The firmness and base of the pad is the last things that I wanted to talk about. The firmness of the soft pads allows your fingers to almost sink in when you press it. Doing the same with your mouse allows you to use that to your advantage to stop easier, especially if you develop an aiming style around those movements. On the opposite side, if you don't develop that skill or you don't have a style around that, it could throw you off when you tense up and or dig into the pad, which would slow you down intentionally or not. Then you have the mid variant, which really does not move much when you press into it at all. Now, I don't know if this part is important at all, but I saw a post from Bardos on Twitter the other day where he mentioned that he got the Key-83 soft and it still felt much stiffer, I believe was the word that he used, compared to the other soft pads in his collection. So I don't know if that applies to the X-Soft or mid variants as well, but I thought I should throw it in here in case anybody has a certain expectation and the pad comes feeling a little bit different than I thought it would. With my mid variant, I have to put a pretty significant amount of force to press into the pad. This can help you if you accidentally press into your mouse pad when you tense up, slowing your movements and potentially causing you to lose in gunfights. Finally, I've heard some people mention they feel the base of the Artisan mid pads doesn't offer enough grip to your desk. Now, I can say that it has noticeably less grip than the Zero Soft that I have, as I can throw my Zero down and I almost have to fight to get it off and have it move at all, but I don't think that grip on this pad is an issue at all. To get it to move, I have to put my fingers on the edge of the pad and move it in whatever direction, but how often are you doing that in the middle of a game? I don't even know if that has ever been an actual issue, but my point is that I don't think that the base of the pad will ever cost you anything. At the worst, it would provide a minor inconvenience. I've had it for about a month now, and I have run into literally zero issues with the pad moving in the middle of a gunfire, even in the middle of a game or over long play sessions. I also believe I've heard that you can put a few drops of water on your desk before placing the pad and that it will help it stick, but please don't quote me on that and look into it yourself if that's a problem you have or you think that you will have before buying the pad. To wrap things up, I can see this pad being worth the extra price for sure. The low static friction, X and Y axis balance, and the speed of the pad are something that I've all fallen in love with. Now again, take this part with a grain of salt because I only have these two pads to compare and pretty bad Amazon mouse pads I've used in the past, so I can't compare this to many other pads. But what I can say is that you have a Zero Soft the same as me, I'm not too sure this pad in soft or X-Soft would be worth the buy. I've mentioned what I already like about the pad, and I don't think that those differences would be enough for me personally to justify the extra price in getting this pad in soft or X-Soft when I already have a Zero. Now, if I was a first-time Artisan buyer on the other hand, or had something like a Type 99, which I've heard described as a proper control pad from Artisan and slower than the Zero, I can see this pad being worth it and enough of a difference to buy and try yourself to see how you like it and if you like quicker pads. Anyways, that's all for me. If you guys like this video, then please consider subscribing and liking the video. It helps the channel a ton and I would really appreciate it. I do have a few videos on similar subjects to this, like aim training and psychology-based Valorant videos, if you can really call them that. I just talk about teammates and ask questions like if change is really possible and if you can really get better when you've been pretty much average at most games that you've played in ranked and whatnot. But anyway, if you guys want to see more videos like this, please let me know. Thank you guys so much for your support and have a good rest of your day or whenever you're watching this. Much love. Peace.